Hi, my name is Olivia and welcome to my 9-week pregnancy update. So this week I want to share, of course, what's been going on this week and just a little bit of an update on my pregnancy right now. And then also I want to share what I'm going to be doing differently this time around versus my first pregnancy. So if you're new here, I am a mom who likes to do things a little bit natural, a little bit more on the crunchy side of things. I have a 14-month-old baby boy and I am obviously currently pregnant 9 weeks with my second baby. So this week I have been feeling a lot of fatigue. I've been so tired. It's kind of wild. I forgot how tired I was when I did not have a baby. I remember just taking naps on the couch. I would do some work, take a nap, do some work, take a nap, and got through the day. But obviously this time I can't do that because I have a baby to take care of. So I am generally sleeping when he sleeps, which is good that I have that time because I only have one baby, but it's also bad because I've realized that I have really lost some alone time. So during that 2 hours of a nap that he usually takes, I usually get a little bit of a break. So I get to, do a little bit of work, answer some emails, maybe read my book, do something, clean the house, something that I just get to freely do, maybe eat a snack without sharing, things like that. And so I've realized that I have really not had my me time, which has kind of been, messing with me mentally. But now that I realize that that is the issue, I feel like it's gotten a little bit better. And my husband has definitely been stepping up and helping, especially when it comes to cleaning the house, because everything is making me cringe, all the dirt around the house, which normally does not bother me that much. I'm not the cleanest person in the world, but for some reason, everything, I'm oh, it's so dirty and I need everything cleaned up. And my husband is really stepping up and helping when he gets home, which I am so grateful and thankful for. So I've been really taking things slow, listening to my body, which I'm very happy about because last time I remember during my pregnancy when I was tired like that, I was feeling very guilty and feeling very bad that I was taking naps and things like that. But this time around, I just realized this is a phase and I'm growing a baby plus taking care of a baby. So it just is what it is. And I'm giving myself a lot more grace, which I'm very happy about. So as far as nausea goes, I feel like that constant bit of nausea that I was having has kind of tapered off, but I still am feeling a little bit, queasy to different smells. Smells are really what is getting me, but I still haven't thrown up. I still am getting through the day. I've actually felt a little bit of a pickup and feeling better, which is great. And I think it's due to the fact that I have a good routine when it comes to taking my prenatals in the morning, the right amount, the right dose. Plus I am fueling my body as best I can. I'm making sure to constantly have something in my stomach, which is really helpful. I'm also staying in the Word. I think that is really helping me this time around. And then also I'm trying to stay away from that victim mindset as much as possible, because it's really easy to just get it in your mind that, oh, this kind of sucks. I don't feel the best right now. Nothing sounds good. I had to take care of a baby and he's not really a baby, I guess toddler, but you can get into this mindset, but I am staying away from that as much as possible. I'm super grateful that I'm pregnant. I'm super grateful that I have a beautiful child, healthy child who is honestly pretty chill, and he can play on his own and he is just so sweet and precious. And so I am just trying to stay in that positive mindset and stay away from that victim type of sad mindset as much as possible. Now, as far as working out goes, I have been keeping up with things pretty much until this week. So I just think that the fatigue has set in and it's just very difficult, and I'm trying to listen to my body, but I also know that it's good for my body to work out. Anyways, I know that it's good for my body to work out and to move. So I'm keeping that in mind. I've been going on a walk every single morning, which is really great, I feel like. And then sometimes all I have energy for is maybe 15 minutes of a little yoga session, which it's very slow moving, slow paced. Hopefully that changes soon, but I really want to listen to my body and take things slow when I need to take things slow. But I also love working out, and so I'm really hoping that soon I can get back into my normal routine, and hopefully this week is just a week of rest. So the last little update is that I keep having these symptoms, which I feel like with my last pregnancy, I didn't have until the very end, which is super weird. So like I've had insomnia for some reason. I don't know why. I've also been waking up like 3 times during the night to pee, which why? I just got to the point where my son is sleeping through the night a few nights a week, which is so amazing. I'm so grateful for it. But then I'm still waking up. I don't know why. I need to like stop drinking water at like 5 p.m. or something. I don't know. But that did not happen until later in my pregnancy. I've also been having these like very vivid, weird dreams. And so I think that's like a pregnancy symptom. I don't know. I remember having dreams, but it wasn't till later in the pregnancy either. So I don't know what's going on. Very weird. Don't know. Okay, so now let's talk about some changes from my last pregnancy. So if you haven't heard my story, I will link it. I was very apprehensive about sharing my story because it did not go to plan. It didn't go how I wanted it to go. And it's not necessarily a positive birth story in my opinion, although nothing happened and I was healthy. My baby was healthy. Nothing super traumatic happened to me. It just did not go the way that I wanted it to go. So I had a hospital birth. I ended up having an epidural and it was like 4 hours of labor and 4 days. I wish it was 4 hours. 4 days of labor and it was just a hot mess. And there's so many things I learned from it. I'm very grateful for the experience because it catapulted me into just learning so much and really shifting things to rely on the Lord versus relying on my own way of getting to somewhere, if that makes any sense. I'll kind of go into more depth about that in a minute, but that is basically what happened with my first birth. So this birth, I am planning a home birth, which is definitely a big change, but I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to be going with a midwife this time. I haven't decided if I'm going to have a doula or not. I probably should, but I'm not totally sure because I'll go into detail in further weeks once, we get further along and just share my thoughts on that kind of stuff. But that is my plan right now, is just to have a home birth and to have a midwife. So another difference is not rushing into any appointments. So I remember last time I was pregnant, I had an appointment, I think at 9 weeks, and I'm to the end of 9 weeks while I'm filming this video right now. And so I would have already had my doctor's appointment. I would have already had an ultrasound and done all the things. But this time around, I don't have a provider yet. And I'm honestly not in a rush to find one at all. I feel just at peace, just living and having this baby right now. And so I really don't feel any like sudden pull to go anywhere to seek out medical attention. And I can look up the exact week, but even if something happened, if something was wrong, which I do not believe that anything's going to be wrong, I am believing for a very healthy full-term baby, and that is what I'm praying for and believing for. But if anything were to happen, the only person that can help me is Jesus. Like, a doctor cannot do anything for a 9-week pregnancy that goes wrong. So really the only person that I feel the need to rely on right now is God. And so I don't feel the need to rush to any kind of appointment to find anyone to give me a sonogram so I have peace of mind that something's in there. Like, I know something's in there. My body is changing and I definitely can feel that I'm pregnant. And so I just feel so peaceful about going into this pregnancy this way. Another difference between last pregnancy and this one is that I'm showing much sooner. So I don't know if you really call it showing, but I definitely have a little baby belly and I will show it. I think it's a mixture of a couple things, probably because it's my second baby. Also, it could be because I've had my babies close together. So I got pregnant when my son was 13 months old. So that potentially could be part of it. And then also I still have a little bit of diastasis recti. So I think my abs potentially are just not like fully hugging everything in there. And so I think a combination of these 3 things potentially are the reasons why I'm showing sooner. And I was struggling with this a little bit at the beginning, but then I remembered last pregnancy, I kind of wore baggy clothes, jackets. I tried to hide my pregnancy for quite a bit of time until my belly was like hard and real and like showing like a real baby bump. And I remember looking back and thinking, I love being pregnant and I love just everything that has to do with pregnancy. And so the fact that I was like hiding this when I'm very proud of the fact that I'm pregnant, it just didn't make sense to me. And I was kind of bummed at myself for not just like showing it off sooner. So this time around, I'm trying to just embrace it and just, it is what it is. I'm 9 weeks pregnant and I have a little belly. That's cool. I don't care. So I'm wearing the same clothes. I am not trying to hide it at all. And I'm just living life and I feel very good about it. Another difference, and I definitely talked more about this in the 8-week pregnancy video, so I'm not going to go too far in depth with this, but just the morning sickness is a lot different. So last time around, I was very sick. I was throwing up at least once every other day, if not more, and I felt so bad, and I was definitely telling people I felt bad, and I was just eating crackers, wasn't keeping things down, and nothing sounded good. I couldn't eat real food, I felt like, and it just was a mess. And so this time, I do not feel that way. I feel so much better when in comparison to last time. It's not perfect roses and butterflies. Like, I still feel some things and I still smell some things and I still feel a little queasy sometimes, but it's just night and day difference, honestly. So another difference is that I don't have very much anxiety this time around. So last time I remember just driving in my car when I was 6 weeks pregnant and I was like, oh no, like the traffic is giving me anxiety. That anxiety potentially is going to my baby. That's not good. What if something happens? Like, what if blah, blah, blah? What if? And that is a terrible way to look at life. And so this time I feel so much more at peace and I don't feel like, oh, if I work out this specific thing, like what if that does something, or what if this does something? I'm trying to cancel out those what ifs and just live life and just believe that everything's going to be perfect, everything's going to work out, and my baby's healthy and safe, and I'm healthy and safe. And so I just feel like that mindset and the anxiety is very much different this time around. Another thing I'm not doing is not looking at the apps. So I'm not gonna lie, I definitely have looked because I got a fertility app just to, figure out and track when I was ovulating, trying to figure out the length of my cycle. I was trying to learn all those things. And so I thought having an app would just be nice to keep track on a calendar. So I do have an app and I have looked at it like twice. I saw that the baby's like the size of a blueberry or something like that, but I haven't gone into depth with the apps like I did last time. I remember last time, as soon as my renewal of a new week would come, I would look at the video, watch a video on there. I would read everything. I was so excited. I would send screenshots to my mom and my sister, and I would look at everything that they said and take everything in, whatever. This time around, I don't feel the need to do that. Maybe it's just because I already have a baby. I've already gone through this. And so it's just like not my priority. And I kind of know a lot more, so I don't feel the need to search all that stuff. But also, I feel like they're very negative on the apps. They say, oh, this week's rolling around, so you're probably going to feel morning sickness. This week's rolling around, so you're probably going to feel some backaches. This week's rolling around, so you need to go to the doctor, and you need to get this sonogram, and you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't feel the need to do any of those things, and I don't feel the need to read negativity. So I am just not going down that path. I'm not going to entertain those types of things. Not that anything's bad, or people that made the apps, they're trying to be helpful. But sometimes whenever they put something on you, like you're going to have morning sickness, most likely next week, that can get into your mind, and maybe you think you're waiting for that to come. But you don't have to have morning sickness. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to have backaches, pelvic pain. You don't have to have these things. And a lot of the symptoms on there are very negative. So I am being very cautious about not listening to those things, not reading those things. So a quick little story. When I was finally trying to come around to the terms of potentially having another baby, my husband was not on board yet. We were not trying. I don't even think I had brought it up to him yet. But after my last birth, I went into research mode and I looked up so many birth stories, so many different books I've read on birth and things like that. So I've really upped my knowledge and I have just consumed so much birth, labor, pregnancy content. So I'm kind of like on overload, but it was all good, I think. And one of the things that happened whenever I was doing all of this research, I started in my mind thinking of my next birth and labor and how everything was going to go, and I had it all perfectly planned out, and I thought, oh, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to be upset, or if somebody talks when the baby comes out other than me, like I'm going to be mad, or like I wanted it to be perfect down to a T, me controlling everything. Like I made up this stuff in my mind and I would replay it before I went to bed, like exactly how I wanted my next labor and birth to go. Okay. So I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but it's just, I think it's a good thing to think about how your labor and delivery is going to go, but also you don't have control. And so to nitpick it that much, I think it was like a little bit to my detriment. So I remember at times hearing people talk about their stories and saying, oh, I just like surrendered. I gave it all to God and let him deal with it. Like I wanted birth this way, but I surrendered to Jesus. And I don't think I necessarily consciously thought this through all the way, but when I would hear that, I kind of think my mind was saying, well, that's really good for them, but I know what I want and I know how it's going to go, and I know exactly to every detail like how I want this to be. And so I can't give it up to God because I need to be in control of it and I need it to go perfectly how I want, because my first labor didn't go how I wanted. Like I don't think that like conscious thought came through, but like I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what was in my mind. So when I was in the car and this song came on, in the chorus it says, "Lead me." And as soon as that "Lead Me" came on, I wasn't even really listening to the song or singing the song, but when "Lead Me" came on, it was like this instant download into my brain, like this instant, like knowing, instant thought that was just saying, let God lead this. Let God control my next labor and birth. And in that moment, I realized that God knows the desires of my heart, and he knows exactly what I want, and he knows exactly how important this is to me. And I also think that he gave me this passion for birth and women and babies and all this type of stuff. He gave me the passion for it and this love for it for a reason. And anything that I could ever cook up in my mind, he has a plan that's so much greater. And so a big difference between last birth and this birth is last birth, I really didn't get into the word. I really didn't listen to what God was saying. I just asked that God would show up in my birth in some way, but I didn't ask for anything else. I didn't pray much about birth other than I wanted a healthy baby. I didn't really dive into what Jesus said about birth and labor and things like that. I just kind of went on my own research, my own way, my own path, and took it in my own hands. It went very differently than the way I tried to control it. But the one thing I asked God for was for him to show up in my birth, and he definitely did that. And I just wanted to grow closer to him, and I think because of the birth that I had, I have grown so much closer to him in the last few months, and it's because of that birth. So if my birth went to plan and I had a hospital birth and I had a natural birth, who's to say I wouldn't just try to do the exact same thing again the second time? So everything happens for a reason, and God has a plan for me, and I know that I can surrender this next birth to him, and I can let him be in control, and I don't have to be so nitpicky about the details. That doesn't mean I can't want the type of birth I want, and I can't pray for that and believe for that, but ultimately I can't control everything, and he has something so much better than anything I could imagine. And so just, it's so crazy that just that one little 2 words in a song, I can get all of that information just from God. So another difference is that last birth, again, I said I wasn't really like in the Word every day. I wasn't reading the Bible, studying it, anything like that. Like I would read a verse every once in a while, and I did try to look up, how the Bible describes labor and things like that, but I didn't really find anything. And so I kind of gave up on it. But this time around, I'm in the Word every day. I've learned so much. And I just think that it's a drastic difference between that birth and this birth. Giving up control, surrendering to His plan, still asking for lots of things, asking for details of my birth that I want, because He knows the desires of my heart and He wants to give those to me because He is a loving God and He does hear me. But also realizing that He has a bigger picture, bigger plan. So whatever happens, I'm still going to be happy and still going to be joyful, and whatever changes in the plan, whatever deviations happen, it's all going to be for the glory of God, and I know that. And so I feel so much better, and I just continuously want to be in the Word so that I can hear God's voice like I did whenever I heard those words lead me. Another big difference is last birth, I would listen to so many birth stories. That was my main source of preparing for birth, is just listening to other positive birth stories. And this time I feel like I have listened to literally hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of birth stories. That is like, I've listened to I literally can't describe it because I have listened to so many. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like if I try to find one that I haven't heard before, it's very difficult, okay? So I just feel like I've heard so much that it's just time to write my own story, and I don't feel like the need to listen to any birth stories, honestly. Like I feel like I could go through this whole pregnancy, not listen to any, and I'd be fine. And it's not because that's not a good way to prepare. I think it is a good way to prepare, but I just feel like I've overdone it. And I have listened to so much that I know like the things that I would like and what I wouldn't like. And I just don't feel the need to continuously listen to other people's stories. I feel like it's really interesting to listen to people who have a beautiful story that has God intertwined in it and those kind of things. I'm not saying I won't listen to them, because I do think that that's really awesome and powerful, and I just love birth stories, and so I might listen to some things that are like that. But other than those specifically, I don't really think I'm going to listen to any. And if you are familiar with Free Birth Society, they have Sister Morningstar on there, who is a midwife, but not a traditional, I guess she is a traditional midwife, but not in the sense that, people in America typically talk about it. Anyways, if you listen to Free Birth Society, you probably know who Sister Morningstar is. And she suggests not to listen or watch human birth stories, but to watch animals give birth, which I think is really awesome. And that's definitely something that I am planning on doing this time around. Another thing that I am planning on doing differently this time around is getting chiropractic care. So last time I remember wanting to go to the chiropractor. I remember having a lot of back pain, and I was just too scared to, while I'm pregnant, go to a chiropractor that I had never met before, never used before, and did not feel comfortable with. Plus I'm pregnant, so I didn't want someone working on my body with my baby that I didn't trust. I don't know. I just made it a big deal in my head, and so I never went. And I think that that's a really great way to get your body in a good position, to get your baby in a good position, to make sure that labor and birth goes well. I think that that's just a really great way to care for your body. And so I have been going, and I believe that I will continue to use chiropractic care throughout my pregnancy when I did not do that the first time around. Another thing I'm adding in this time around is yoga. I think that I've heard a lot of stories where people say that yoga has really helped them in their labor and delivery. So that is another thing that I have been incorporating in the last few months, and I believe I will continue to incorporate it into the rest of my pregnancy. So the last thing I want to mention as I wrap up this video is this week my sister had her baby, which is so exciting. He is very healthy, very cute, perfect little skin, sweet little hair, just so good, and my sister's doing well. And so I just want to mention this because she was planning for a natural birth, which did not necessarily go to plan, but she still had a beautiful birth. She has no trauma, like everything was fine. She felt like she was able to make decisions, which is great. But I just want to mention this because when I had my first baby, I remember wanting a natural birth as well, and I felt so much pressure when people would ask or they would say, oh, you're having a baby, make sure you get the epidural as soon as you get to the hospital, or whatever they might say about that kind of thing. And I would say like, oh no, I don't plan on getting that. And then they would like say, oh, how could you do that? It's so painful, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I just felt so much pressure because of these people who were doubting me, and I just felt like there was so much negativity surrounding it, and that really hindered me from creating a YouTube channel. I really wanted to share my pregnancy and birth that time around, but I didn't because I felt like that would be even more added pressure from outsiders if something didn't go to plan, if I failed because I didn't have my natural birth or anything like that. So I realize now, especially after being a bystander to my sister's birth, when she was in labor, the only thing I was praying for is that, you know, she didn't have any trauma. She was okay with whatever happens, that she was safe and healthy, and that just everything went the way that she needed it to go in the moment. And whenever her birth was done, I was just so happy that she was happy and her baby was healthy and happy and all the things. So it became abundantly clear that the outside opinions don't matter. It doesn't matter what people think or whether your birth goes to plan or doesn't go to plan or whatever. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you're safe, you're healthy, and that you're not traumatized, you're okay with the situation, you got to make informed decisions. That's the only thing that matters. And this is your story to tell for the rest of your life. So I hope that I can use my next story of this birth as a testimony for the rest of my life, and no matter how it goes. And I just realized that the only person's opinion that matters in this is my own, and then Jesus. It doesn't matter about anyone else. Nobody even needs to know what you're planning for your birth. And so I just hope that that's encouraging if maybe you had a birth that didn't go to plan, and maybe you want to try again for a home birth that didn't go the way you wanted it to the first time. Like, do it. Don't let that one thing that happened the first time doesn't mean it's going to happen the second time. And also, who cares what other people think? This is such an important time. So I just wanted to say that in case anyone is struggling or anything like that, because I did struggle for a few months, and I feel so much better now, and I feel very good that I was on the receiving end of, you know, not having a baby and just being a bystander, because I haven't had that opportunity yet. So that pretty much wraps up my 9-week pregnancy video. If you are interested in following along with the rest of my journey, please hit the subscribe button, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.